The term curation is most frequently heard in the art world or in relation to the art world. The idea being that you might curate a collection of artwork at a museum or at a gallery, bringing diverse works by different artists or many different works by the same artist together in one place. The idea being to give viewers a sense of the range of that artist's work, or a sense of a place in time where different artists were working, or a sense of how different artists portray similar subjects. But really, curation is just collecting things in an intentional way, and it can be anything at all. It doesn't have to be artwork. You can curate music onto a playlist, what we used to call a mixtape or then a mixed CD. You can curate a library full of books and graphic novels and different sorts of content. You can curate a blog full of works from different authors or of your own work that you then choose to present in that medium to that audience. Whether we realize we're doing it or not, if we are participating in the modern online world, we are curators of a sort. It's just that many of us are doing it in a one-off way, where we are choosing individual objects to put on our timeline, to share with our friends and followers. And as a consequence, there might not be much rhyme or reason to the things that we are collecting and aggregating and sharing in this way. Approached more intentionally, though, all of the things that we share, the things that we like, that we add additional metadata to, that we accumulate in different ways, that we tell the algorithm to accumulate in different ways, these collections can represent our point of view. They can take existing work and add value to that work by portraying it through a different lens that then other people can see. You can aggregate things in different collections with disparate works or similar works, and by seeing these things together, that can also add additional context and value. It can change the meaning of something to recalibrate and recontextualize it in that way. And through a certain lens, things like remixing or responding to videos with your own video or your response video or reinterpretations of an original work is also an act of curation, because you're taking something existing, recontextualizing it, and then probably doing that over and over with different sorts of work. Curation can be an act of creation. You're taking these atomic units and reworking them, putting them in a specific you-determined order and arranging them in a you-determined way. And this is something that I tend to rant and rave about because curation is fundamental to a lot of the work that I do. It's fundamental to some of my projects where I share interesting things and aggregate them and put them in interesting combinations for other people to check out, stuff that they otherwise wouldn't know exists, stuff that they wouldn't necessarily think of in a particular way, but then when arranged with something contrasting or complementary, it really pops and makes people interested in it. What I'd like to share with you today is a tool that I use for some types of curation, and I want to be careful with how I do this. I've got a project called You Probably Don't Need, where I sometimes make recommendations, but the idea is not to try to encourage people to go buy stuff. The idea is to present stuff that might be useful to someone, but to present it in a consumption skeptical way. Here is something that exists. It's something that is genuinely useful, genuinely valuable to me. Here's why I like it, but here's also some other alternatives you might check out. Here's some ways that you can accomplish the same without spending a dime. That's the case with the things that I share on You Probably Don't Need. That is the case with this app that I'd like to share with you today as well. If my use cases are not your use cases, you probably should not buy this. There's other ways to accomplish the same thing. Now, all that said, you probably don't need CleanShot X. CleanShot X is a piece of screenshot software that also does an abundance of other things. I personally primarily use it to collect images from around the web, and it adds a bunch of additional tools that make that useful, which is something that, although the Mac that I use for most of my work has inbuilt screenshotting capabilities, the tools that the Mac has inbuilt are not very good. They're very fundamental. You can create a shortcut for it. You can then grab something from the screen or from a window, but it's incredibly limited the options that you have for collecting whatever it is that you're trying to capture, but then also what you do with that captured thing afterwards. CleanShot X, in contrast, allows you to screen shoot all sorts of things in different shapes, sizes, permutations from different locations. You can replace your normal built-in Mac screenshot shortcut and tool capabilities with this app instead, which is nice. It gives you a crosshair that you can use, so you make sure you don't capture anything that you don't want pixel by pixel. It allows you to magnify and see what it is you're about to shoot to, the edges of your cursor, so that you include only what you want to include. There's a timer that you can set. If you're waiting for something to happen on screen and you know how long it will take, you can set the timer just like you would on a camera before it captures the image. You can scrolling capture to capture the entire screen. This is something that I've had to do many times over the years, and previously I would have had to shoot multiple screenshots and then stitch them together in some kind of editing software afterwards, which is kind of a pain. It takes a little bit of time. It's not always perfectly accurate. It also allows you to do cool things with the screenshot that you capture. You can change the edges, you can round them out, you can add background colors and gradients, you can take out the background and make it transparent, you can add drop shadows, you can rebalance both the inside and the outside, the inset of the screenshot, but also the padding around it to add more background. You can annotate it by adding text and arrows and other icons. You can add shapes, you can put boxes around things. You can edit stuff, you can blur things, you can emphasize areas of the screenshot, you can censor the screenshot, you can highlight things in different ways. You can also hide your desktop icons on your computer as you're taking a screenshot, so those don't show up. You can change the background of your desktop entirely. You can also go back and redo screenshots that you've already taken. So you find the perfect selection radius and you screenshot it, and then you edit it, or you fail to edit it, but you want to edit it in a different way. You can go back into your history and make edits again. It keeps a backlog of the things that you have captured for up to a week. You can change that in the settings, and you can go back and create new permutations of that thing if you need to. If you want to emphasize something or censor something or add arrows or change the edges, remove the background, whatever you want to do, you can make that decision later. It has text recognition built into it, so you can capture an image of text, which is just pixels in an image, but it will go through and find with remarkable accuracy what those pixels of text represent, and then you can copy and paste that. But then it also, and this is very impressive for a piece of software this size and at this price level, it allows you to do screen capture, which in contrast from taking a screenshot means that rather than taking a still image, you can capture a video on your desktop. And it comes with all sorts of additional bells and whistles. You can track your cursor and have it highlight when you click. You can have it display what buttons you push as you're giving a tutorial or a guide. You can capture these videos with or without computer audio, with or without microphone audio. You can set your computer to do not disturb for the duration, so you don't see any little notifications as you're recording something important, so you don't have to then reshoot the thing when you're interrupted. You can change the frames per second and the resolution quality and just the overall file quality. You can also, and this is pretty cool, record video of yourself as you are shooting these things. And then you can have the video of yourself playing in the corner as you're also then showing something on your desktop screen. It's got a simple little video editor built in as well, which is nothing fancy, but it's a really nice feature if you just need to make a simple edit, trimming the edges of what you just shot, things like that. And then it's got a bajillion different settings and customizations, so you can go in and make sure that all of these things work and do exactly what you want them to do. I've yet to find a feature that I can't customize in the way that I want to customize it with this app. And then it's got a bunch of features that I don't really use or I haven't used yet, but it's nice to know I can. You can take screenshots and then pin them to the screen if you want to use them as a reference. It will keep those above the other windows, whatever else you're working on. If you're designing something and want to keep reference shots or colors or something on screen, you can do that. You can combine multiple images that you've just taken from the web, that you've stolen from an email. You can combine them into a new image after you screen shoot them. After you take a screenshot, you can immediately drag and drop it into another piece of software, and it's got all kinds of quick actions too, things like pinning, but also you can rotate images 90 degrees, things like that. There's a cloud storage option as well that, among other things, allows you to share links to things. You screenshot something, upload it to the cloud. You can set it to upload immediately if you want, and then it gives you a link for that thing. So you can screenshot something, annotate it if you want. You can capture a piece of video on your screen, upload that. It gives you a link for that, share it with somebody. There's a lot of very practical use cases for that sort of thing. They don't match my use cases, so I don't use the cloud at all. I keep everything on my computer, but it's nice to know it's there. If you need it, if I ever need it, it's nice to know that I could. Now, important to note, there are alternatives. If you want other pieces of software, there's plenty of competitors to this. This is only available on your Mac, but there's one for Windows called SnipPaste, 1P, that does essentially the same screenshot things that CleanShot X does, but it's for Windows and much simpler. Shoddy is a cheaper screenshot-only app that's about $8, and it allows for annotations, and it has good UI for screenshots that you're taking, better than what is included with your computer anyway. It doesn't have all the additional features, but it's nice and simple. Shotter is a bit like Shoddy. It also costs about $8 to buy. It has some nice screenshot powers, like taking a screenshot and pinning it to your screen. You can do the scrolling screenshots thing, which is very useful, and you can mark up the screenshots too. Again, that's about $8. It's a really good buy if you are just looking to take screenshots. And FlameShot is also similar, but it's open source. Again, focuses mostly just on screenshots, and it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So that's a nice option too, if you don't want to spend anything, or if you're looking for something for those other operating systems. You can also, again, do everything that this app does using other existing apps, most of which are free, built into your computer. The reason I ended up buying it is, one, it's relatively inexpensive. Two, some of these tasks are things that I do every day, multiple times a day, and this makes my job a million times easier just to be able to really quickly, with a couple of clicks, customize, save all these things in formats that I need them to be saved in, and then to know that I have those additional video recording, screen recording options as well. Those tools are available built into your Mac and through other software, but the Mac built-in versions are very rudimentary, and the other software that offers the same features is usually a lot more expensive than this app is, and it doesn't come with the other features as well. Now, all that said, this software is $29 once with a year of updates. That's what I went for. I like to buy software outright when I'm able, especially this type of software, that it feels like a tool that I can continue to use even if there's updates that add new features after that 1 year period runs out. I can gladly continue using this if I want to, or I can upgrade if I want those new features. There's usually a discount if you do that sort of upgrade when a new version comes out. A lot of people, though, I suspect will go for the monthly version. If you pay for a year ahead of time, this will cost you $8 a month. If you pay month by month with the option then of leaving before a year is up, it's $10 a month. And it also gives you some higher end cloud options. More storage, better sharing capabilities, and a lot better teamwork capabilities. If you're trying to share assets between multiple people on a team, that might be something you want. That might be a good investment for you. One other thing worth mentioning here too, I don't have any experience with this service beyond being aware of it after buying this particular app. There's a bundle of Mac and iOS, so iPhone and iPad apps, called Set App. And the way their business model works is you pay a monthly subscription of like $10, and you get access to all of these apps, the whole bundle. So 180, I think, apps of different shapes and sizes and use cases, no doubt qualities as well. I didn't personally see a lot there that I needed. There were a few apps that looked interesting, so if you check it out and you end up finding an app that you think is really useful, please let me know. But the other thing to think about here is that if you're going to pay $10 a month anyway for that month-to-month plan for CleanShot X, this costs the same thing and gets you access to 179 other apps if you choose to use them. So you don't have to use them. I would not recommend you try to use that many apps. You do not need to gorge yourself with all of this software just because you have access to it. But if the pricing is the same or approximately the same, and there's even one other app on that list that you find to be useful, that might be worth your money instead. But again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, this is not an excuse just to go buy something. If you do not have one of these use cases, something curation related probably already, there's a very good chance you do not need this application or anything like it, but you can do basically the same things. It won't cost you a cent. And if you don't need to buy something like this, don't buy it. Digital clutter is clutter too. Don't buy things just to buy things. Do not feel the need to gorge on apps thinking that they will solve all the problems in your life, or that suddenly you'll become more productive or focused, or your work will be taken to the next level. These tools do not do that for you. They just emphasize what's already there. So if you're having some kind of trouble that you're hoping a tool will solve for you, try to solve that problem first, and then get the tools that might help you do that better, more efficiently, a little bit amplified in the future, if that turns out to be the case.